end, Lauren Parfitt. To open the bowling at the Cathedral Road end, Claire Nicholas.
It's not quite the introduction to full game commentary that I was hoping for Leisha Hawkins, but I gather we are now coming through loud and clear, so many apologies for that. We did, I promise you, we were professional, we did an audio test, everything was absolutely fine, but unfortunately, for some reason, come the start of the actual stream itself, everything seems to have gone a bit haywire. But anyway, 2 overs in, 11 without loss, the Western Storm. Lauren Parfitt is starting her second over, and Georgie Boyce on strike, driving the first delivery out towards extra cover. Good afternoon, Leisha, for real this time. Leisha Hawkins, CEO of Cricket Wales.
Pryn Handa Ichi, good afternoon, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm all the better to know that I'm actually talking to somebody out there on air now. Let's cut away back to the point. Danny Gibson's hearing after it, but the able to get a second run here as just carried the ball out to back on 2 runs taken. It's been a tidy stuff for us to start. Before I throw it back to Leisha, I will run through the 2 teams because we haven't seen those yet. The Western Storm read as follows: Sophie Morris, Georgia Hennessy, Sophie Luff, Danny Gibson, Katie George. With the no run. Alex Griffiths, Nat Wraith, Lauren Parfitt, Nicole Hartley, Claire Nicholas is back. Fantastic to see Claire Nicholas back in action today after her child. And Lauren Filer rounds out the Western Storm. As far as the Thunder go, there are a few changes. So there's no Piper Cleary in this match. The Aussie overseas who played here for the Welsh side.
She did.
The 100th. Delivery, but Sophie from Georgie Boyce not able to get it past the fielder at cover. So another really tight over this from Lauren Parfitt. And so the Thunder, as I say, a few changes. Daisy Mullen is not playing from their last 11. That was the win against the Sunrisers. Nor is Sophia Turner. So 3 to come in. That's pulled away.
Oh, good stop.
That was close to a catch, but maybe just in front of Lauren Filer at square leg. She's looking a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
So perhaps it did carry after all. 3 overs gone, 13 without loss. The 3 Thunder players to come in. Danielle Collins plays today. The experienced Natalie Brown comes in, and Alice Dyson, who played a couple of games for the originals in the 100, she is in as well. So the Thunder lineup reads: Emma Lamb, Georgie Boyce, Ellie Threlkeld with the gloves, Laura Marshall, Danielle Collins, Kate Cross, who is playing today after not being selected for the team.
To bowl at the Cathedral Road end, Fee Morris.
Alice Dyson, Alex Hartley, captain, and Hannah Jones. And this is, of course, Western Storm's first game as a regional side here in Cardiff. Leisha, I'm sure a really proud moment for you to see this game being played here as we see Fee Morris coming into the attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for a number of years, obviously we weren't, as Wales and Glamorgan, involved in the Western Storm KSL version, but have come to the party in this version. But yeah, to have the girls, obviously they've trained here quite a bit, but to have the girls actually now playing in front of a Welsh crowd is fantastic to see. I do notice, though, we've not put the flags up. A little bit disappointed at the lack of Western Storm, and well, it's not Northwest Thunder, it's just Thunder now.
Just Thunder now, yes.
Yeah, we don't have any flags. Maybe we can fix that. But no, fantastic to see the girls out on the pitch here in Wales.
Oh, outside edge from Georgie Boyce. There's no short third in place, so that's going to test the speed of the outfield. It looks fairly quick. Terrific effort. I think that's Danny Gibson down on the deep third boundary. They've come back for 3, but that's a terrific effort to save a third run. And no, in fact, it wasn't Danny Gibson.
Oh.
It was Danny Gibson,
yes,
after all.
ponytail.
It was Danny. I thought it looked like Danny Gibson in the distance down there. And she's certainly impressed with her fielding on I guess, a bigger stage out in the 100, as that's a full toss. That's going to be a no ball and 4 runs. Emma Lamb does not need a whole lot of encouragement, and she's pulled that one away backward of square for 4, and it's a no ball. Next delivery will be a free hit.
Yeah, Danny Gibson's fielding. Well, I have to say, most of the women's fielding in the 100, I did send a tweet saying that I thought the women's fielding in the 100 was actually far better than the men's, pound for pound. I don't think that was an overly controversial comment on my part, but Danny Gibson absolutely excelled.
Here's the free hit, and Lamb brings out that sweep shot that she likes, and it's 4 more runs backward of square. So this is the problem, really. If you, as a spinner bowling to a batter like Lamb in the power play, if you bowl it short, she's obviously going to pull you away, but if you pitch it full, she's so strong on that sweep shot that that's going to go too.
That's it. And these boundaries aren't actually even that small, you know, even compared to Durham last night, and at least they're roundish.
Yeah, the pitches, as you can see from your pictures there, quite far over towards the, well, where the dressing rooms are, and the boundaries, as you say, they're pretty even on both sides despite that, but they are not small. It's still going to be a fair hit to clear them. And that's short, and Lamb pulls, but doesn't time it, and it'll just be a single out to Katie George, who also was extremely impressive in the field, especially during the 100. It's just a shame that she couldn't be impressive with the ball as well because of this injury that keeps bugging her, sadly. So I don't imagine that we'll see her bowl in this game either. It's quite short, but seemingly that's the way to go at the moment with the deep mid wicket out. Georgie Boyce just picking up a single, 28 without loss. I haven't actually given you the context to this game because of the issues, which again apologies for at the start of the broadcast, but the Thunder top this group of the Charlotte Edwards Cup on 9 points. There's use of the feet there from Lamb, just making it into a full toss. Alex Griffiths with a good sliding stop out at wide, long on, able to prevent it from going over the rope. So an expensive over that from Fee Morris after some very cheap ones to start things off. 30 without loss, Thunder after 4 overs. So Thunder top this group on 9 points. Northern Diamonds sit second on 8 points, and the Western Storm are third on 5. So a win today, Western Storm pick up 4 points, they level the Thunder. They potentially picked up a bonus point, they could even go potentially top of the group today, depending on what happens in the other fixture in this group between the Sunrisers and the Diamonds. But it is, given the brevity of this competition, it's a must win. Absolutely. Pretty much for the Western Storm today.
So my challenge to try and stay impartial just got even more difficult then, didn't it?
Well, that's all right. You can not stay impartial. People will get angry at me if I'm not impartial. But then, having said that, I am being employed by the Western Storm, so
I'll give you a pass to be impartial. I don't mind.
No, there we go. I'm going to be impartial because I just enjoy seeing cricket. Cut straight to backward point this time by Emma Lamb, who is looking in pretty ominous touch, and it is especially ominous given that she's already scored 100 not only against the Western Storm this season but also in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. And she brings out that slog sweep, it's hit well, and Katie George is going to get to her feet, and she's even going to stop them coming back for a second run. That is incredible work from Katie George out on the deep mid-wicket boundary.
Well, they're pretty standard for Katie George from what I've seen.
That's true, they
certainly
are,
in the ground
actually.
fielding, and if there's any catches that go, well, anywhere from sort of 10 metres either side of her, I'll have some money on her catching it.
Tickled away fine. Oh, there could be a
Run
run
out.
out here, and there is going to be. Disaster for Emma Lamb and Georgie Boyce. The ball just tickled straight to short fine leg, and Claire Nicholas getting the throw in. Here's the replay. The ball just pretty much hit straight to Claire Nicholas, who was even a step off the edge of the circle, so there's no chance of coming through for a single. Nat Wraith has absolutely demolished the stumps. I don't think there was any question about the bails not coming off there.
I noticed that. I quite enjoyed that damage. I don't mind a bit of damage from bowlers at the best of the times, but wicket keepers making a good mess of them also thoroughly encouraged.
So
Georgie Boyce was run out
the one who has to
for
go,
8.
and
The
actually, to be
incoming
honest, I
batter
said
for
disaster for Emma Lamb. It's disaster for Georgie Boyce, really, because
is
it's Lamb's
Ellie
call,
Crowdhouse.
and as far as we can see on the replay, Emma Lamb's not really moved very much. You can see that gesture with the right hand from Emma Lamb as if to say, what are you doing?
What were you doing?
Where are you going?
shades of Jack Leach and Ben Stokes at Headingley 2 years ago.
You know
with that
what?
run out.
Is that in your mind? Because during the interval, they were replaying that, or just because it is the anniversary of that?
All of the above. All of the above. What a day. What a day.
It really was. And I actually didn't have any idea that it was the anniversary of that. And then the fact that the Headingley test once again coincides with that, absolutely extraordinary. But the run out of Georgie Boyce, and it's still a key wicket because she can so often complement Emma Lamb at the top of this order, and now that's going to be the job of Ellie Threlkeld, the wickie, who comes out to join, I guess you'd say, the absolute prize wicket in this Thunder side. And Emma Lamb, she's off to a good start, 21 off 16 balls, but it'll be Threlkeld on strike. This time there is a comfortable single, just worked comfortably away into the leg side, and Western Storm got 2 fielders out on that leg side boundary, so they obviously feel like that's needs defending at this stage. If anything, it probably isn't that much shorter, but
it does look shorter from up here though, but I don't know if that's just perspective.
Use of the feet drags it rather down towards long on. Just be a single, so 4 runs off the over plus the run out, but terrific stuff from Lauren Parfitt to start things off here. 3 overs for 9 as you see the bowling figures there. Claire Nicholas with a tidy over as well. Sophie Morris not helped by bowling that waist high no ball, which then the free hit was hit for 4, but overall 34 for 1 after 5 overs. It's a pretty decent start for Western Storm.
Yeah, I think I say we. Oh, let's just do it. Let's just stay completely biased. I think we'd take that. I don't know whether we got any sort of more news either from the toss or sort of pitch reports and what I guess would be par on this wicket on
returning
today.
to bowl.
But yeah, I think we'd definitely take 34 for 1. We'd love 1 or 2 more back in the hutch, but I think keeping them pretty quiet at the moment.
Claire Nicholas back for her second over. Pulled into the gap by Emma Lamb, and that I think is going to go for 4. Yeah, it is. So 2 fielders in pursuit, and 2 fielders have more than enough wheels to chase it down, but they couldn't because it was timed too well.
And that was one of those that you can't ever give up as a fielder. You've got to try right to the end. Stuff of nightmares for me, that.
Yeah, those teasers, they're horrible, aren't they? They tease you all the way to the rope. So Emma Lamb up to 26 now. That's chipped down towards long on. Fee Morris will... Oh, they're going to come back for a second run, and, well, that's a dodgy second run, I'll say that, but they've made it. And Emma Lamb up to 28, but if the throw's right over the bails, they probably get Threlkeld.
Exactly. Or some jiggery pokery, you know, the whole kind of deflecting thing that they're doing now.
The feet hit well. Fee Morris coming in, and she takes a really good catch.
Great.
So another wicket falls, and this time it is the crucial wicket of Emma Lamb. And I think now, for the Western Storm's point of view, it's a good job they did take that second run, because Emma Lamb was on strike, and you can see what she was trying to do. She's obviously absolutely full of confidence. Why wouldn't she be? She'd come down the pitch, got pretty close to the pitch of the ball, but not quite. Good catch.
Emma Lamb was
Just
caught
didn't
by
get all of
Fee
it there.
Morris off
That
the
is one of
bowling
my
of
2
Claire
extras that I
Nicholas
wanted back in the
for
hutch, so
20.
thank you very much, Western Storm. 40 for 2.
So she just has been incredible, Emma Lamb, for Thunder, knocking on the door of England. Of course, she's the leading run scorer in the regional
The
game
incoming
this year
batter
across
for
both
the Thunder
Rachel
is
Aylesbury
Natalie
Trophy
Brown.
and the Charlotte Edwards Cup. 121 she made against the Western Storm in their RHF Trophy meeting at Bristol, and then, as I say, that century that she made against the Sunrisers, which was the first century to be made in this competition. What a crucial blow that is. Natalie Brown's the new batter out at number 4, vastly experienced, over well over 100 list day matches, which, given the paucity of cricket to quite a lot of extent for the women over recent times, to accrue that number of matches is quite impressive. And she's won County Championships, won the T20, part of the Manchester original squad in the 100. Not on strike though, as Threlkeld turns the ball into the leg side. They'll get a single. And we're going to have to get used to a couple of things here. Having got used to the batters not being allowed to cross and then be on strike, we then come back into this, and now they can cross, and the new batter's not on strike.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, and also, all joking apart, I am struggling now to count to and divide by 6 again, having had my brain numbed by multiples of 5 during the 100. Numbed in a very good way, I should add. But I was at the Royal London the Royal London Cup, as we call it now, on Thursday, the final, where Glammy won. That's another one that I've got in very early. And honestly, trying to divide by 6 when I was working out the run chase, it was not an easy task. So.
Well, you know what's great though? We've got run rate 7.2 and over on this wonderful stream that we have here. Threlkeld just pushing the ball out into the offside. So the first wicket that is credited to a bowler, and it falls to Claire Nicholas. 2 overs, 1 for 16 she's got. There's the card. Lamb falling for 28 off 20 balls, and Georgie Boyce run out by Nicholas from short 5 legs, so she's had a big part to play in both the dismissals. So yeah, so you got the Glamorgan Royal London Cup win in, and I was going to
bowl
ask
at the River End.
what an exciting time this must be for Welsh cricket with the Glamorgan
the next batch of
Trophy
power
winning
plays
Welsh
are about
fire
to start.
as well. It must be a fantastic time to be a part of Welsh cricket.
Cardiff MCCU winning the, I said Booser then, showing my age, the Bucks Trophy, British Unis. So yes, I'm not sure there's too many trophies left to go after now, other than obviously the Charlotte Edwards Trophy for the Western Storm. But no, honestly, we've had an amazing few weeks. Really, real buzz about the place at the moment. It's fantastic for Welsh cricket.
Nicole Harvey into the attack, so some leg spin. And the Western Storm, I can't remember if I've actually seen this yet. They haven't bowled a seamer yet. It's been all spin, but it's worked. Oh, she's bowled her! So it works even more now, as Nicole Harvey has got the wicket of Natalie Brown, and the Thunder fall into further trouble. We'll have a look at the replay, and Nicole Harvey she just skidded that one through.
Natalie Brown was bowled
like a
by
bottom edge
Nicole
onto leg
Harvey
stump.
for 1.
Furious action, the sort of stop there, but as you say, the ball just seemed to skip on. Did it just rip ever so slightly inwards? Or was it the deflection off the bat?
Here, don't you, that there tends to be just enough there for the
The incoming batter for
no
the
matter
Thunder
what.
is
If
Kate
the pitch
Cross.
is new, if the pitch is old, that you tend to think there's going to be something on offer. And Nicole Harvey has struck with just her second ball, and the second ball after the power play. Another look here, it wasn't that short, and she was trying to pull it on the back foot, but at the same time I think she did just skid it through her, really. So as you see, the new batter is Kate Cross, and Kate Cross, who, well, she has the honour, I suppose, of having hit the first 6 in the 100. Of all the names.
Exactly, who had that in their sweepstake?
Well,
sorry, Crossy, I do apologise.
Anyway, Kate Cross in today in at number 5. Ooh, cutting first ball, gets a thick outside edge down towards the deep third boundary. Danny Gibson's got another huge chase on, and she flicks it in expertly to Claire Nicholas. And they've come through for 3 runs. Still a bit of width there from Nicole Harvey, not exactly where Kate Cross meant to get it, but at the same time just throwing the hands through it. And Danny Gibson's already run, it seems, about 3 kilometres today. So sweep comes out from Threlkeld, and she's not going to beat the fielder out at deep square leg. I thought she'd pierced the gap perfectly there, but just the single again. So continuing to be a tidy start this for Nicole Harvey, and as with many of these players, this is already a home ground. I mean, it wasn't technically already a home ground before they played it, of course, but there's a full toss and hit well down the ground by Cross, just be a single down to long on. But Nicole Harvey, one of several who made their home here in the 100, and I'm sure that experience, I guess, of playing here standing them in really good stead today. But also it feels probably more like a home than it would if they were just playing the first game here as they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, she went for a bit of a wander there, Threlkeld, and Nat Wraith got the bails off. She almost walked out of her crease, and Nat Wraith had a, I guess it would have been run out or stumped actually.
That was the question I was going to ask you.
It's a pretty difficult one, isn't it? Was she attempting a run? I suppose she kind of was, so it probably would have been a run out.
Oh, I think, yeah, if you take a step that positively, you're starting to try a run there, so I think that would have been run out. Disappointing lack of damage.
Questions
there.
out
Yeah.
today as well.
Get in touch on Twitter. Would that have been a run out or a stumping, please? There'll be somebody with the answer out there, I hope.
There certainly will. Actually, if you do want to get in touch, then Leisha's Twitter handle is
at Leisha Hawkeye, L-E-S-H-I-A, Hawkeye, at Leisha Hawkeye.
And I can't imagine anybody would ever want to get in
To
touch.
bowl at the Cathedral Road
at Ed
Danny
6
Gibson.
on Twitter. So we are going to see some pace for the first time, and Danny Gibson coming off a tremendous 100 campaign for the London Spirit. She really was one of the standouts, not just a Spirit side, but across the whole competition. And a sign of that, really, that Kate Cross has elected to leave the first ball from Danny Gibson.
No, Danny, I thought was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, London Spirit themselves didn't have the best tournament, men's or women's, especially on paper. You would have probably had them up there, but yeah, Danny was a real standout in, I think, pretty much every game. She got mentions on Twitter for finishing, fielding. So yeah, great to see her here, back in green.
Driven pleasantly. Only be one as far as deep cover. I mean, it's just been fantastic to see some of these players who, well, I've been seeing them for, I guess, almost, well, not quite 2 years, because they haven't been playing 2 years worth of cricket, that's for sure, but seeing some names like Danny Gibson, who I've seen obviously several times now, and getting to see, this is going to sound weird I suppose, but getting to see other people seeing them.
Yeah, exactly. And that was what the 100 was, well, part of what
Oh, direct hit, good work from Fee Morris at mid-on, but it was a good call from Threlkeld because she was running to the danger end, and they're through for that single. But, oh, I see Danny Gibson actually collided with Kate Cross, which was the reason why Kate Cross was struggling a bit at the other end. But it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if they'd effected the run out at that end, with Danny Gibson getting in the way of Kate Cross, of course inadvertently, as it is single taken. Another pleasant shot from Cross on front foot out to deep cover, but you know, it was magnificent to see that, you know, to see the, I guess it's exactly how the women's 100 will help international cricket as well, because it's just going to help provide that, I guess, secondary level of players, if that's not a cruel way of saying it, but that level of players just outside international selection.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, that's probably been, I guess, the criticism of kind of in and around England women's cricket. It's just there hasn't been enough people, you know, really pushing for places. You already mentioned Emma Lamb, you know, who could very happily take a spot at the top of the order should one of those girls start to not perform. But that's exactly what we want, strength in depth, and just having 2, 3, 4 players, you know, at every position looking for a spot in the England team.
Got up in the block hole, forced up to mid-off. This could be another run out. There's a direct hit.
Surely that's out.
And
oh, come on, Sue.
Sue Redfern says no, but it's terrific work from Georgia Hennessy at mid-off. And the Western Storm, well, certainly when you talk about fielding, which we can slow this down and have a look. No, safe, good decision. Good decision, umpire
That's why
Redfern.
she's out there and I'm sat in a glass box and administering cricket and not umpiring.
That's all right. You've already told us that you're impartial. As long as you're up, you're not impartial. The opposite of that. But I think as long as you've already told us that's the case,
yes.
And
put my disclaimer out already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty safe there. Excellent call. And the other thing actually to say about that from an umpiring point of view, as somebody who has umpired before, Sue Redfern despite the ball being whacked straight to mid-off, hit very hard, she got in the perfect position.
Absolutely.
And how often do you see umpires, I'm afraid, not get into that position to make the call?
And dare I say it, male umpires in male cricket might be relying on the TV umpire a little bit, and I might have got a little bit lazy. Or am I being controversial?
Oh, I don't think you're being controversial in terms of relying on the third umpire whatsoever. No. You've got to be quick. You've got to be quick to get there.
You've got to be quick to get there. You've got to be quick to get your face out of the way when the ball is getting smashed back at you. It's a tireless task, thankless task at the best of times, umpiring.
That it is. And that's
As
why,
you will know.
That's why I stopped doing it. I'm just a people pleaser. Down the pitch, this could be another catch at long on, and it's taken, no problem. So Sophie Morris is lying sideways on the floor in rather dramatic fashion, and she has taken another critical catch, and Thunder continuing to lose wickets. Here's the replay, and Harvey inviting the big shot from Kate Cross, and good work from Sophie Morris to get over there. That that right leg was doing some interesting things at various stages there.
No pictures in the scorebook. Just on the live stream though, but no pictures in the scorebook.
Yes, it's a good thing we don't have any cameras here today. No,
Kate Cross was caught by
that is
Sophie Morris,
wicket for Nicole
the bowling of Nicole Harvey for 6. The incoming batter for the Thunder is Laura Marshall.
Of course, as I said, given the fact that it's home ground for her in the 100, she'll have happy memories here, but she's also used to having pretty decent catches taken off her here. I can remember one that Katie George took, charging in from the deep mid-wicket boundary right down low. And
you're going to have to be more specific. There was a few of those that Katie George took. There was
one off Nicole Harvey in particular, and I wish I could remember who it was.
It was here, was it?
Yeah, I think it was. It was a key wicket, and I wish I could remember who it was. I didn't write that one down. Oh well.
And I was possibly here, which makes it even worse.
No, in any case, I can remember that one in particular, and I thought, yeah, Western Storm. Nice to see a Storm combination. Laura Marshall's the new batter. Tries to work that one leg side, does Threlkeld with the batters having crossed. So Marshall at the non-striker's end. I was very amused by a tweet from Laura Marshall, which I'll read out in a moment. That's a full toss. This could be another wicket. Hennessy running round and shells the catch. It would have been a fair, well, it was a fair delivery, so the catch would have counted, and Hennessy had to run all the way across from mid-on. She's not even in the picture yet, and she's going to come charging into it now. Difficult over the shoulder there, running sideways. They've got two hands to it, and it popped out.
And the double chance of possibly the second fielder was that
Sophie Morris, yeah, coming from long on.
That would have been an awesome catch.
If she
little double team, yeah. They bet they don't practice that. I know they practice the, flicking it back in from the boundary, but I bet they don't practice that in training.
Another dot to finish with. So terrific stuff from Nicole Harvey. 2 overs, 2 for 7. Let's just take a look at the chance again. I mean, it was a full toss from Nicole Harvey, so yes, in some ways you could say maybe she got away with it, but then at the same time also could have been another wicket for Western Storm. This Laura Marshall tweet was on the 2nd of July. Hit my first 100 today. Might have had 10 or 11-year-olds in a school bowling at me, but I'll still take it. Well, as somebody who's only 50, came as a 16-year-old playing against
returning to bowl at the Cathedral Road end.
So they all count. But I did rather enjoy that one. Sophie Morris back into the attack. Coming round the wickets to Threlkeld. Tries to help that one down the leg side now. It is going to be called a wide by umpire Redfern. I think in general you are going to get wided for that in one day. It still feels a little bit cruel.
And I actually thought it flicked a pad, which shows how closely I'm watching or how good my eyes are.
Driven down the ground, they won't get a single up towards mid-off. So Morris trying to, I guess, pull their figures back a little bit after the only over in the innings which the Thunder have really got after. Flighted delivery and knocked down by Morris and a follow through. How important has it been for Wales to have a team which is Welsh fire?
Yeah, I know most of the teams were supposed to be city-based. I think that was the phrase at the start of the 100, and then we had two named after a point on the compass, one named after a river, and obviously one named after a country. But all joking aside, it was so important for Wales to have that Welsh identity. Obviously we have Glamorgan, which is fabulous, but to see kids in here not wearing Welsh rugby jerseys but wearing Welsh fire caps and shirts was fantastic, and I really do feel that people have got behind it. But counter to that, we have had a number of people coming across the bridge, from Bristol in particular, and coming and supporting. So it hasn't put too many people off, I think, hopefully.
Sweep comes out from Marshall, and she'll get off the mark with a single out to deep square leg. I realise there'll probably be a few people who are annoyed about the fact that we're talking about the 100 when the Charlotte Edwards Cup has returned, but it's kind of a big thing for women's cricket.
Absolutely, and it's one game, right? And look, I do get the politics in the men's game in particular, but as you say, we're here in women's cricket world, and the 100 has only had positive things and will only do positive things for women's cricket. But yeah, do understand there's still some people with some concerns.
Indeed. And did you have a favourite moment from the 100, may I ask?
I think broadly the profile, the PR, showcasing, say particularly the women's fielding, converting a few more people that realise, oh, they can bowl, oh, they can hit sixes. But I just keep going back to Alex Hales hitting the unmentionables twice in 2 balls. I'm sorry, but that will stay with me for a very long time.
I think it will stay with him for quite a long time as well. 56 for 4 at the halfway stage. And Nicole Harvey into her third over. That slog swept out towards the deep mid-wicket boundary, and that is a really casual
regulation
from Katie George out on the deep mid-wicket rope. I thought that was probably heading for 6 off the bat, and Katie George has just pretty much, well, she's strolled over and plucked it out the air as if she was taking a cup of tea from a tray.
Right. Yeah, it's just practicing that. That's
Laura Marshall was caught by Katie George off the bowling of Nicole Harvey for 1.
She is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And shows you what a tremendous cricketer she is, because she can't bowl at the moment, but she's still able to contribute in both other facets of the game. So Laura Marshall, the latest to depart, it's another wicket for
the incoming batter for the Thunder is Alice Dyson.
These leggies, full tosses, short balls, they just get wickets. It's just not that easy to whack a leg spinner over the ropes.
Right. It is the hardest skill in cricket, I'm told, leg spin. I did try once.
So did I.
It was a very, very short stint of trying. But when it goes
we need to talk about your batting, actually, after...
We do?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We need to talk about the clip on your Twitter feed of you launching Welsh rugby legend Shane Williams over the boundary rope for 6. As Dyson comes in, not on strike, though, as once again the batters were able to cross, and Threlkeld gets a single down towards long on.
Yes, very kindly Mr. Williams came and helped us launch the 100 and Dynamo's cricket, obviously associated with the 100. We were over at the hockey pitch just behind Sophia Gardens here, and he was doing his PR piece, model pro, very, very nice gentleman actually. And just before he went, I was like, Shane, I just want to have 1 ball. Come on, give me 1 ball. Bearing in mind Shane Williams has never played, no, that's a lie, Shane Williams played cricket once in his life in a charity game. And so I said, yeah, come on, Shane, 1 ball. I'll get my colleague to video it. And he said, oh, well, what do you want me to bowl? Seam up or spin? And if you go to the clip, it's pinned on my profile because it's a very proud moment for me. I'm basically sledging him saying, doesn't matter, it's going back over your head, whatever happens. And I actually, thankfully, deliver on that promise, gave him the full charge, and smashed him back over his head. Now, this is just plastic bats and sort of tennis ball stuff, but again, I'm taking it. That's 6 against Shane Williams, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people who'd like to knock Shane Williams for 6. Maybe not quite in that sense of the expression, but
and not wearing a red dress either. That was the bit that I thought was quite special. Not only playing cricket in a posh frock. That was a fun day. Very, very good sport. Very good sport.
I can imagine. Just one ball left in this Nicole Harvey over, and the figures just get more and more extraordinary. She's just get things really tight this over. Alice Dyson in her first game for Thunder this year. It's played down to long on, so she'll get off the mark to the last ball of the 11th over. Did make a couple of appearances for the Manchester Originals, but this is her first outing for Thunder. 58 for 5 the score after 11 overs, and Ellie Threlkeld really does provide the key now to this Thunder innings. 9 off 17, but the important thing is that she's there when others have not been able to be. A few matches
returning to bowl, Danny Gibson.
Charlotte Edwards Cup, which I ought to keep you updated on, not least the game between Northern Diamonds and Sunrisers, which is the other game in this Group B of the competition, and the score there makes pleasant reading at the moment for the Western Storm, because Northern Diamonds are 31 for 4 after 9 overs against Sunrisers, and it would be a help for the Western Storm if, or in fact, it'd be a help for the Thunder as well if Sunrisers were to win. Gibson back into the attack, and that's gonna interest the umpires as far as a no ball's concerned. The scramble through for a run looks as though they're going to say that's fine. Certainly, if you're Alice Dyson, you don't really want to be receiving a ball like that, and she skied it straight up in the air. Should have been gone. Quick single, Fee Morris, direct hit. Oh, that would have been another one, which would have been very close.
That was a lovely shot, but I have a feeling they may have run on the shot rather than actually where the ball went there.
I think you're right, and I think also that she would have been short by a few inches looking at the replay.
Yeah.
So probably not a single to be repeated too often. So that's outside the off stump, and a sharp bit of work from Nat Wraith behind the stumps, as we're very much used to, and Dyson just driving and missing outside the off stump. Western Storm, they have a lot of, even without Katie George, they have an awful lot of bowling options here. We haven't even seen Georgia Hennessy yet. She may come into the attack later on. We haven't seen Lauren Filey yet either.
Or Alex, has she bowled?
Oh no, that's very true. Alex Griffiths hasn't bowled yet either.
Just playing bowler bingo with my team sheet.
Yes, no, I think that's one of the nicest things to do, actually, to try and map out where you think the bowling's going. But so far, I think they've worked out that pace off is working so nicely, and not too much need to change it up. Well, that's a lovely shot, glorious on drive. That is going to take some beating for shot of the day from Ellie Threlkeld. She's tried that a couple of times, including the near run out, but this, absolutely gorgeous. Doesn't get too much better than that. High elbow, foot to the ball, yeah. And she got it wide of the mid-on fielder, which was the absolute key bit there. I was wondering if Fee Morris actually got a slight fingertip to that almost. It looks like she might have just been feeling the end of a finger there. Trying to work her way through the offside, can't do so. So 7 runs off that over, still a decent one as far as Storm are concerned. After 12 overs, Thunder 65 for 5. Those other 2 scores in Group A. South East Stars are 71 for 2. That's the latest score I have there after 10 overs against Lightning. And Southern Vipers 80 for 2 after 11 overs. Southern Vipers topping that group with 15 points coming into it, the maximum 15 points. The Vipers machine just keeps on rolling, and of course I guess they'll be without the likes of Charlie Dean and Maya Bouchier today, because those two have both been called into England's international T20 squad for the forthcoming series against New Zealand. So it'll be Harvey to bowl out here. A sweep shot should just bring a single for Dyson and Will. In fact, actually, last time we were on together last year, we were just about to have the series against the West Indies, that 5-match T20 series. Derby, I can tell from that laugh that you know what's coming next. Ooh, is that a bump ball?
I think it was.
I think it was.
I think it was.
Nicole Harvey's brilliant bit of athleticism to get up there. Let's have a look and see if we can see on this replay here. No,
Maybe not.
I think it might not have been. I mean, a tremendous effort to get there, and then she almost tipped the ball onto umpire Harris's head.
Well, I did like the coordination there, the choreography between bowler and umpire of, you know, one jump, one duck. It was almost cheerleading-esque.
Well, it will be more than harsh to put that down as a chance, because she's done very well just to get a hand on that. But a bit of four for her. So that's dragged away down towards long on. But it is, particularly as somebody who you know, I feel very attached to this regional setup now, and to see a couple of players, albeit they are from the Vipers, who are kind of rivals really of the Western Storm in terms of, well, apart from this, of course, they've always been in the same group as Harvey. Does manage to knock that one down, and another dot ball, so just one ball remaining in her terrific spell. But it's great to see the pathway from regional through to international already being realised, not even at the end of year 2.
Exactly, the system works, clearly. And as you say, it works very well in the Southern Vipers. The machine, I think, has the absolute correct description of what they've got going on down there.
Driven firmly up to mid-off, and Hennessy's done well to knock that down, and she's deflected it towards Fee Morris from long on. So it's just the single, and Nicole Harvey.
That completes Nicole's Harvey bowling quota. Her final figures: 4 overs, no maidens, 3 for 13.
3 for 13, as you will have heard on the PA. And she's, well, there have been a couple of full tosses, but at the same time, both of them, well, one of them did produce a wicket, and the other one almost produced a wicket. Yeah. Tremendous control from Nicole Harvey, and she's got the wickets that she's deserved as well.
Absolutely, player high on confidence, clearly, and playing on her home, in inverted commas, ground.
To bowl at the Cathedral Road end, Georgia Hennessy. Well,
in my completely unimpartial state.
There has been, you know, we're talking about the exposure for the players from the regional setup that the 100 provided. It also provided exposure for what is one of the most amazing cricketing stories and life stories that you will come across. Nicole Harvey's story of what she had to overcome with sepsis to be even back out on a cricket field, never mind playing at the highest levels of domestic women's cricket there is. Yeah. And the exposure that got because of the 100 that it wouldn't have got, as much as I would have loved to have had it, for it to have had the exposure as soon as she did the interview with, I think it was Spencer Bishop at Somerset who she did it with originally. Yeah. But as much as it would have been nice to have the great exposure from that, the vastly increased exposure that it got because of Sky Television, because of BBC Sport, just incredible to see in such a heartwarming story.
Absolutely, and you know, there's so many of those kinds of stories, you know, thankfully not quite so sort of dramatic, but you know, pretty much every one of these players that's out here has a backstory, you know, whether it's having another job and, you know, sort of giving up all those extra hours to do the training that's necessary.
Was another run out chance here, but it's a direct hit this time. But I think Yes, I think Nat Race removed the bails with her gloves, but didn't have the ball in them, so there wasn't even an appeal, and they do get through for that quick single this time.
But just as you say, great to have that profile and that platform now for those stories to be told. You know, I'd actually love in many ways for in the future just to have cricket stories, because you know there won't be so many backstories about women having to have other jobs and try to be a professional domestic athlete as well. But yeah, amazing story, and fabulous young lady.
Yeah, absolutely. So Georgia Hennessy into the attack for the first time. That's hit over the infield, and they will get a couple, I think, although she's going to get her skates on a little bit, is Dyson, but she gets in pretty comfortably in the end, so a couple of runs there, just looking to launch the ball over the top. So Dyson just beginning to form a little bit of a partnership here with Threlkill. And bowled. The commentator's curse strikes again, and Dyson looking to pretty much slog sweep, it looked like, and Hennessy taking all the pace off the ball. Looked like her just rolling her fingers down the side of the ball there.
Alice Dyson was bowled by Georgia Hennessy for 7.
Bail removed. She's such a crafty bowler, Georgia Hennessy, and that's produced the wicket with that change of pace that just wasn't quite dealt with by Dyson. So 72 for 6, and the Thunder batters keep coming and going, with the exception of Threlkill, who's trying to keep things from falling apart entirely with her 17. And 72 for 6, the Western Storm, they can afford to get a bit greedy from this position, whereas the Thunder...
The incoming batter for the Thunder is Danielle Collins.
Because, well, in the Western Storm's last game, they'll be able to tell you that sometimes just getting a total on the board is enough. In the Western Storm's last game, admittedly, they were beaten, but they did come very close to defending 106 against the Northern Diamonds. It was only chased down off the last ball by some Jenny Gunn pure experience, really, the way that she knocked those runs off. And really, I think you'd have to say Thunder are in a pretty similar situation here, where they've just even just get up to 100.
Exactly.
Get something.
But also they have some of that experience in their batting as well. They have those players that could get home in a tight one. But yeah, you're right. Have to bat out your overs minimally. If it's criminal not to do it in 50 overs, I'm not quite sure what the worse than criminal would be in 20 overs.
Yes. Well, certainly not something you ought to be doing. Danielle Collins, left-hander, and just inside the wide markers, according to umpire Sue Redfern. I keep calling her umpire Sue Redfern. It's because of Alex Hartley and Kate Cross, and I can't help but think of her just as umpire Sue. But it seems a little bit informal, just to somebody who's never met her. So I think we'll go with umpire Redfern or Sue Redfern as that.
She won't mind. Sue's absolutely lovely. She won't mind. You can call her umpire Sue, I'm sure.
It's a lovely ball there from Hennessy, just angling the ball across the left-hander. Collins looking to work it down to that deep third fielder who's back now. Let's get that on it. And this time she has, glances away very fine, but they'll only get a single, and really that's a pretty decent result for the Western Storm, because it means that the new batter's going to keep the strike. Collins is more than capable. They've got a pretty deep batting lineup in the Thunder. It's just that they've come and gone more than they would like. But these two certainly have the capability to take the Thunder towards a total that they might think about having a really good go at defending. And Hennessy 1 for 4 off that over.
And a lovely view of
returning to bowl at the river end, Lauren Park.
Do you not think those screens are beautiful? I think they're great. They look fantastic.
They're really good, actually, because as you'll know from Trent Bridge, pretty similar setup there. But
same people, I think, that did them.
Quite squashed at Trent Bridge, though. here, everything's all beautifully spaced out.
Everything's beautifully spaced out in Wales, Ed.
That's true, yeah. Including the people. No.
Have you noticed, though,
Never
over the
been- never
bridge,
been allowed
over
back
here,
again.
no, we still like cross roads to get out of the way of people. We're still very polite.
Collins cuts that one down towards deep third. She'll pick up 2. I think that's all. Lauren Parfitt back into the attack, and yes, as I was trying to be nice, having come over the bridge with this one. We are all in the same region, of course.
Of course.
So,
Of course.
and I am more than part Welsh. That's just beaten the outside edge of Collins, and my surname actually is the Welsh side of my family, so even though it's not actually obviously Welsh name, it does come from Wales.
But you don't speak Welsh, Ed?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have to learn.
I can recommend a course.
Just casually discussing language courses now. Lauren Parfitt into her last over. She got through 3 really cheap ones in the power play. Collins will pick up a single out towards deep cover, and I can't help but see the name Danielle Collins and think of the tennis player. Semi-finalist at the Australian Open, American player Danielle Collins.
Oh, tennis is not a strong suit for me.
Right, no, she's a very good player, with an extremely loud scream to celebrate whenever she wins a point, pretty much. So I think if Danielle Collins gets to a landmark here, I'd like to see a Danielle Collins-like scream from her. Strelkeld will pick up a single down to long arm. Things continuing to tick along pretty quietly here. So just 1 ball left in this 15th over. The run rate, as you can see, just under 5.2 runs per over. So I mean, they would be on target to get to those 3 figures. If they continue like that, and another single taken. So just a sensibly played over there from these 2, knocking it about, picking up 5. There are only 5 overs left.
That also completes Lauren Parfitt's bowling quota. Her final figures 4 overs, no maidens, 0 for 40.
Level and the 100, but let's talk a bit about grassroots level.
Yeah. Well, again, it's one of our sort of success stories, I guess, in Wales, and certainly I won't take any direct credit for that. It's certainly, you know, women's and girls cricket was growing way before I got here. I arrived in February last year, so just a couple of weeks before a global pandemic. But we were already, you know, on the charge. Number of clubs adopting women's softball festivals, and now super
Returning
proud
to bowl,
to be able to say that
Morris.
53% of clubs in Wales now offer something for female participants, whether that be women and or girls. So you're actually now in the minority if you're not offering something for female players, and actually in South East Wales that goes nearer to 70%. So yeah, increasing the number of playing opportunities. I mean, that's the key, as well as obviously having the wonderful volunteers who make it happen. But yeah, absolutely our fastest growing area.
Morris back into the attack and just sliding that one into the left-hander who's really expecting, quite rightly, that the ball might be turning away from her, but Fee Morris just angling it into the left-hander, cramping her through. Dot ball out towards mid-wicket. Do you think it's also been the case a little bit that the pandemic, having kept everyone indoors for so long, everyone just wants to get out there?
Definitely. I mean, we saw that in open age, you know, men's cricket, ostensibly Saturday cricket, you know, clubs that were struggling to get sort of, you know, 2 or 3 teams out the previous year were suddenly fielding 3 or 4 teams. Sunday friendly cricket was back in earnest, and that's actually stayed. You know, we've grown the number of clubs and teams in Wales for adult men's teams or Saturday cricket over the last 12 months in spite of the pandemic. But yeah, I'm certain, you know, it's part of realising what you miss when you can't do it, and also I guess people just not being able to go on holiday probably helps availability. So you know, the trick is going to be sustaining that clearly, but we're definitely on the up, and there's not too many team sports that can say that.
Down the pitch and hit straight by Threlkeld, and Hennessy's not going to get there. So really solid shot from Ellie Threlkeld, use of the feet, and launches it back over Fee Morris's head for 4. Second really impressive shot she's played down the ground.
I wonder if this might be the over that they've decided. Might be a touch too early if Threckle gets out, obviously, but I think this might... What have I done?
Which is exactly what she's done. Welcome to the commentary box,
Thank
Leisha
you.
Hawkins.
Thank you very much.
Well, we've both done it now. That's 1-all. And once again, it's bowled. Fee Morris gets her first wicket, and the replay thrown.
Ellie Felcrout was bowled by Fee Morris for 22.
There for the shot.
It was,
yes,
she just got through it too quick.
Yeah. She was angling it across, but at the same time, it was a ball which was sweepable. It wasn't as though she yorked herself, for example. But, like you say, perhaps Fee Morris just holding that one back a little bit and getting her through the shot too early. So that is a vital wicket, that one, as far as Thunder's hopes of getting up towards, say...
The incoming batter for the Thunder is Laura Jackson.
You'd think now it's going to be pretty tough to get towards that mark, as we have another look again, and it doesn't turn from Morris, but that also may be what's defeated Threlkel, just playing for a bit of turn that wasn't really there, and it's angled across her and hit off stump.
Do I get an assist for that, by the way, in the scorecard?
Well, you might have to get onto the scorers in the interview.
I'll go and have a word with Dr. Hignall next door, see if I can get an assist on that one.
So, Laura Jackson comes out at number 9. It's somebody who is capable with the bat. It's turned leg side. I think it's only going to be a leg bite. Oh, the throw actually hits Jackson, but she didn't change her line of running, so there won't be any thoughts of obstructing the field appeal. Ball pitching outside leg stump, so umpire Sue wasn't going to give that one out.
In fact, she almost deliberately ran a couple of yards extra because she sort of went to the side. She made extra sure she wasn't going to obstruct the field there.
We'll have a look at these bowling figures. Nicole Harvey is the standout, 4 overs, 3 for 13. Now that Fee Morris has dragged her figures back, every Storm bowler has impressive figures, and Sophie Luff's now almost got the problem of
returning to bowl Georgia Henderson.
Rather than the problem that captains hate. Where on earth am I going to turn now? How am I going to get the rest of these overs done, which is usually the case in T20.
And still no Alex Griffiths.
No, indeed. And she bowled terrifically well in the last couple of games for Western Storm, especially she got the ball to swing quite late, particularly across the left-handers actually, and was really impressive given that she was coming off an injury as well. Hennessy back, and a dot to start her over, but yeah, the spell of Alex Griffiths, even though Jenny Gunn did get to her a little at the end of the last game, 4 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 28, and as I say, if you took out that last over, and it was very impressive. Just play off the back foot, and they'll come through for a single. Gets Jackson off the mark as the sun comes out, and it's really a very nice day.
Always sunny in
I'm
Wales.
not saying that with surprise.
Always sunny in Wales, Ed.
You know,
never rains.
No tone of surprise whatsoever in my voice. In fact, I think this is actually only my 2nd time here, which is surprising. You'd have thought I would have been here more, but I haven't. The previous time was for South Africa versus the West Indies in the Champions Trophy, which would have been quite a few years ago. Yes, that sounds right. It's played off the inner half by Collins down towards long on for a single, and it was a rain-affected game.
No,
it was.
In Wales?
Sorry, but it was.
Never.
It was rain-affected.
Just must have caught us on a bad day.
No, it was a very good game though. Duckworth Lewis was at play, but that almost added to the drama of that game. It had the likes of A.B. de Villiers, Kyron Pollard. It was a tremendous game to come and watch. But this is just my 2nd game here as it's driven up towards mid-off and there's no run. I would have loved to have come and watched some of the Welsh fire here, but the things being as they were, exactly. There was the small matter of another competition to cover for me.
It was great here. Obviously, we had the restrictions, unfortunately, on sort of crowd sizes, particularly for those early games. But yeah, the atmosphere which was generated, even by, I think we had about 5,000 in here on the Friday night with the Trent Rockets games, was fantastic. And then that last game, even though it was the wooden spoon game for all intents and purposes, both men and women, great afternoon, great evening's entertainment. They always do it well here.
She took absolutely all the pace off that, and Jackson had decided that she was going to try and use the pace down fine on the offside, and found there was absolutely nothing to use at all. So 86 for 7 the score, with just 18 balls left in this Thunder innings. I was going to ask really, the restrictions in general, of course, have had a bigger impact here than they have.
To bowl at the Cathedral Road end, Lauren Fire.
How's that been to try and kind of get around?
Do you mean here with the professional game, or sort of participation as well?
I suppose in general, you can do both if you like.
Yeah, so here obviously it was just really hard for the Glamorgan guys. You know, not only having to disappoint people who'd obviously bought tickets both in the internationals and the 100 games, but then just managing less people and then managing the sort of secondary spend elements, the bars and the food vendors and so forth. I would not have wanted to have been in Dan Cherry, head of operations issues here.
Lauren Filer into the attack, so she might get 2 overs to finish the innings, but that's going to be all, and starts off with, we signal the leg by eventually.
And then for participation, we were back later than England in terms of adult team sport. The kids got back pretty much, I think, 2 days later than England, maybe actually 2 days before, if I remember rightly now. But yeah, still under stricter restrictions here, so things like having to wear face masks in changing rooms, all the things that people moan at me for on Twitter, but I don't make the rules, I just interpret the guidance.
It's a tremendous ball there from Filer, just right up in the block hole, and look at it here, there's not too much you can do with that. Kicks off Nat Wraith. It's signalled wide already by Sue Redfern. They'll come back for 2 in addition, so 3 runs go to the Thunder total in all. But well, actually, last time we were on air together, we'd just come out of the long period of lockdown last year. I can
think
imagine
that's right, yeah.
Huge amounts must have changed since then.
That's right. I think
as far as your job goes.
Yeah, I think it was one of my first trips that I was allowed out of Wales, actually, was to pop over the bridge and see you. I think it was it August last year? Oh, maybe we'd had a month. That sounds about right. Yeah, because we were going into Women's Cricket Month. Yeah, that's right. But yes, we've had some fun and games since. Yeah, nothing's been simple in the last 18 months, I think it's fair to say, and actually this year's probably been even more complicated with sort of different restrictions at different times.
Trying to work leg side, Collins struck on the pad. I think it was a very slight inquiry.
I'd have appealed for that.
Lauren
I'd have happily appealed for that. Pitched outside leg, hit her outside the line.
Quite. She's having a good laugh with the umpire about it. And there's always that thing, isn't it, when you're the only person that goes up and then you're looking around sheepishly. Is it, okay, was it really that bad? Just cramping her for room there, Lauren Filer. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of, I guess, welcome to the job. You've got a global pandemic to deal with. But like you say, this year, and I've heard this from so many people as well, it's almost been tougher because you've got people coming back, but at the same time still a lot of things to organise and to extra things that had to be put in place in order to facilitate those people coming back.
I think that's right, and I think now there's supposedly a playbook for it. I think we could get away with quite a bit last year because nobody really knew what they were doing. Let's be really honest, and it's quite simple when you can do nothing. But when it's sort of, you can do some things but not that, and then things change at different times in different countries, it's been a lot more complicated for ourselves as administrators, and I'm sure for people in clubs as well who have been diligently trying to follow the ever-evolving guidance.
Oh, she's tried to go big into the leg side as Collins targeting that leg side boundary, and it's just missed the top of. Actually, almost looks like more like middle stump than off stump. I was going to say off stump, but right over the top of the stumps. But still, despite a couple of wides in that over, it's still a tight one from Lauren Filer, 92 for 7 after 18 overs. So the contrast to that, I guess, I was going to ask. In some ways, cricket's been at a disadvantage for so long in terms of the equipment needed, the facilities needed, but now, with it being a sport where you are pretty distanced pretty much all of the time, has it got a bit of a leg up there, do you think?
Absolutely. I was so happy that cricket doesn't involve, you know, rucking, mauling, putting your head between people's legs.
Oh, I think that's gone. Well, Georgia Hennessy might have paid a severe price there, but the run out has been effected, and that is a horrible way for Danielle Collins' innings to end. But that's hurt, and you can see that it's hurt. She's getting a hug from Danny Gibson. I'm not entirely sure that's going to make it better, but it was one of those ones where it wasn't a bump ball, as you can see.
Danielle Collins was run out by
but then deflects the ball straight onto the stumps. There's really no way for Collins to get back there.
Well, no, and no way for her to get the end of her finger out of the way of that ball. I felt that. That's horrible. But surely it shouldn't hurt if you take a wicket. I thought that was how it worked. Only hurts if you drop a catch, doesn't it?
I'd imagine that it. I'd imagine it would have hurt a lot more had it gone wide of the stumps. That's for sure.
True.
Yeah, Georgia Hennessy is. She's somebody who tends to wear her heart on her sleeve, but I think anyone would be if they'd had a ball hit that firmly back at them. So Alex Hartley comes out to the crease at number 10. She does like to mention her batting on air various times, but now she's got a chance with quite a few balls remaining in this innings to see if she can get some runs here. And going to get on strike to start with, though, because Jackson playing very straight, but it was playing straight that was the downfall of Collins. So there you go. I suppose that's why you're taught nowadays just to wipe the ball to the leg side. Don't hit straight, because you could run your partner out. Driven. Nice looking shot from Jackson, but only be one to Griffiths on the deep cover rope.
It's an interesting one, though. We were talking about this week, about, you know, how the 100 has changed, or how sort of white ball cricket generally has changed cricket, and what kids are taught to do now. And we've decided that openers, having always been traditionally the most responsible ones that should never get out, now you've got a complete license, do what you like, and if you get naught, oh well, doesn't matter, well done for trying. I'm suddenly thinking I could be an opening batsman. I'm thinking this is my time.
I can tell you I'm not. Absolutely not. No.
I can get naught swinging. That's easy.
It's really true, though. Everyone wants to open the batting now, don't they, really? It used to be, when I was at school, it was
poisoned challenge.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
everyone wanted to bat 3 or 4 or 5.
Or 8.
Nobody wanted to wait. Well, yeah, okay, I wanted to bat at 11, but exception to the rule there. Hennessy just bowling stump to stump here, and Jackson not able to get it away. Just one run off this penultimate over of the innings. But yeah, you're so right, and it's almost pressure off, field up, just go out and whack it, and there's not too much pressure on there.
Yeah, I found my calling, just 20 years too late, I think.
Tremendous stuff from Hennessy. She didn't bowl until late on in this innings, but she's got through 3 overs, 1 for 7. Admittedly, she had, I guess, had some of the heavy lifting done by some of the bowlers who were on before her, but you've still got to come on and keep things as tight as she has. And not only did she get the wicket of Dyson, but also she's effected that run out of Danielle Collins. So this is absolutely flown by, I have to say. And we're already into the last over now.
And now we have to play guess the score. So we've got obviously 6 balls left, 93 for 8. Where are you putting your money? I'm good at this game, by the way.
So you're putting it back onto me. It's
yeah.
supposed to. I'm the one who's supposed to be asking the questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll get back in my box. I do apologise.
Lauren Filer has pulled away, not timed especially well by Jackson, which is going to get a single. Well, I reckon they're going to sneak up to exactly 100.
All right, so you've taken a ball to make that decision. I like that. So if I sort of use a ball up before I have to declare mine,
you can use up 6 if you like.
You know, I'm going to go 99. 99.
Seems like a fair call.
Really stuck my neck out there after you declared, yeah.
Run a ball from here. Well, there's not, admittedly, there's not too much variation, I think, that could happen from here.
2 wickets.
124 would be quite brave chords. That's driven aerially and slapped away to the extra cover boundary for 4 by Laura Jackson, just out of the reach of Sophie Luff, who's very sharp in that short extra cover region, but it was just hit too hard by Jackson. Oh, she got a lot of wrist power into that.
That was Rashid Khan-esque.
It was. It was. That use of the wrists. Yeah, scything
Great
shot.
word.
That's a good word.
Great word.
I do like that word. This is a cut and a miss, and I've realised that I've gone and done Alex Hartley out of that boundary, because there's Alex Hartley on strike. I do sincerely apologise to Alex Hartley and her tens of thousands of Twitter followers who are probably watching. But she's going to be talking about that shot for some time, I think. She might not be talking about that one so much. She's tried to pull that one leg side and has been defeated by the change of pace from Lauren Fire. It looked like it was kind of a bit of a leg break slower ball, maybe.
I think that was
down the side of it.
Still slightly agricultural, though, after the Khan-esque scythe before.
I really do apologise to Alex Hartley, because that was a cracking shot. That's been hit high up into the air. Nobody's going to get to it. The ball bounces well in front and wide of Alex Griffiths out on the deep mid-wicket boundary. So they're back for 2, and that brings up the 3-figure mark for Thunder. Applause from the crowd over to our left. So Alex Hartley, with a couple of lusty blows here, has seen Thunder up to that 3-figure mark. So here is the last ball of the innings. And launched high up in the air. Nat Wraith's going to be able to get underneath it, and she takes the catch. So a wicket off the final ball, and Lauren Filer gets a wicket as well. So another change of pace. Looked like pretty much the same.
Alex Hartley was caught by Nat Wraith off the bowling of Lauren Filer for 6.
Cat flying off,
and
looking straight up into the sun, and she's taking
innings,
but also smiling before she'd even taken the catch. How amazing is that she's that confident that that's going straight into her gloves? And congratulations on winning the score. Can't believe I've just lost. Gutted.
Well, yeah, it feels somewhat hollow, the victory, given that there were 5 balls remaining.
but you said 100 earlier in the innings, to be fair, as well.
Well, I'd get up to 100, yeah. So
I'll give you
it's
that.
Something to bowl at for Thunder. They've got a very good bowling attack as well. This game is far from over when you've got the likes of Kate Cross, Alex Hartley, Hannah Jones, Emma Lamb. The spin side of things especially, given how effective it was for Storm, you'd have to think that Hartley, Jones, Lamb, they're going to play a key part in the second innings. Western Storm should...
For those of you who like to keep your scorecards up to date,
that's a very fair assessment. I'm just very glad that Sophia Gardens isn't playing as well. I wouldn't be half as confident, but yeah, I think that's a nice total. It's psychologically 3 figures. If I was allowed to bet on cricket, which I'm not, I may have a couple of quid on Western Storm at this point. But yeah, it should be an enthralling second half.
We'll be back with you in a couple of moments, and we'll leave you with the highlights of the first innings.
So the Thunder made 100, 4-9 in that total. There were 10 extras, comprising 2 leg byes, 7 wides, and 1 no ball. Here are the Western Storm's bowling figures. Lauren Parfitt, 4 overs, no maidens, 0 for 14. Claire Nicholas, 2 overs, no maidens, 1 for 16. Fee Morris, 3 overs, no maidens, 1 for 25. Nicole Harvey, 4 overs, no maidens, 3 for 13. Danny Gibson, 2 overs, no maidens, 0 for 11. Georgia Hennessy, 3 overs, no maiden, 1 for 7. And Lauren Filer, 2 overs, no maidens, 1 for 12. So the Western Storm's target to win when the game resumes at 4 o'clock will be 101. Just to bring you up to date with scores from some of the other matches taking place elsewhere today. We'll start at Headingley, the opening day of the third test between England and India. India winning the toss, electing to bat. India, though, bowled out for 78. Jimmy Anderson and Craig Overton each claiming 3 wickets. The latest score we have is that in reply England are 21 without loss. Also got a latest score from the third day of the second 11 championship match. That's taking place at Rockhampton Cricket Club between Gloucestershire 2s and Glamorgan 2s in their second innings. Gloucestershire second 11 are currently 296 for 7. So Gloucestershire are leading Glamorgan by 214 runs, with 3 second innings wickets remaining. 3 wickets there for Rory Smith. Ryan Higgins also made 158. Returning to the middle are two umpires, Anna Harris and Sue Redford. Taking to the field, the Thunder, led by captain Alex Hartley. To open the batting for the Western Storm, Fee Morris and Georgia Hennessy. To open the bowling at the Cathedral Road end for the Thunder, Kate Cross.
Home for a single to start things off. Kate Cross opening the bowling, not too much of a surprise there.
No, and if the Western Storm could just protect my blood pressure a little bit better, that would be great. I am the world's worst watcher of cricket at the best of times, so having a microphone attached to me, if this could get close, might not be pretty. So if we could all just calm down, that would be ideal. Better.
Morris just playing defensively out into the covers, and I think this is it's something that they can afford to do now as well. You don't have to go after the big names, the likes of Cross, Hartley, Anna Jones as well. There's the possibility just to play yourself in here if you want to. They've got time with this total, and they don't want to be losing early wickets.
Or wickets in clusters, or just at bad times, as Thunder did. So yes, easy, steady away, hit the bad balls for four, you know, all that good stuff you're taught to do. That should see us home, hopefully.
Hennessy and Morris make a fairly explosive opening partnership though, so they may have other ideas about breaking the back of this total. And I suppose the other thing that potentially they might have in the back of their minds, which could almost be a dangerous thing to have, is that bonus point.
Very good point.
It's whipped away, good use of the wrists from Fee Morris. We'll just get one though out to deep mid-wicket. But the bonus point would be the difference in terms of the Western Storm potentially overtaking Thunder, whereas if they win without the bonus point, it'll be 9-all, and at the moment it's Thunder who have a much better net run rate, which may not be overturned in this match. So there's all sorts of things at play here, and it's such a short competition as well. You can't almost not think about it.
No, absolutely. You've got to take any points where you can, but if you can take an extra point off of Thunder, then ideal. So I've changed my mind. Let's just go for it.
I think, you know, I think you've got to. It's always about striking a balance so often in cricket, isn't it? But I think going after Kate Cross, probably not the wisest idea.
No, and not in the first over.
Yeah, no. Right. But at the same time, I think you probably could say, go in general. Clicked away. There was always a call of wait there from Hennessy, but Morris didn't wait, and they're through for a single. And Georgia Hennessy is looking as if the weight of the world's on her shoulders. She's had quite an eventful afternoon with the ball smacked straight back at her in the first innings, and ended up turning it into a wicket, but now she's I think had her blood pressure rise a little after that single, but they're through for it, and it's 3 without loss after the first over.
So what did we need? It was the required rate
To open the bowling,
oh, it would have obviously been 5
River
at the
End,
start of the innings.
Hannah
Do
Jones.
that maths, because that divides by 5.
5.05.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 101, of course, yeah. So I can't do that maths. Okay, that's fine. Comfortable. 3 for now. This is where I need, you know, where were the Thunder at this point? You know, in the chase on the scoreboard. Do you reckon we'll get that? I don't think we will.
Maybe not, but I can get it up on here if you're desperate. Hannah Jones to bowl the second over. Just turned away backward a square on the leg side. They'll think about turning this into 2, and they'll make that pretty comfortably. It's Georgia Hennessy just finding the gap backward a square. Hannah Jones, she's got the pretty tricky task of being a left-arm spinner, playing for the same team as Alex Hartley, and quite often Sophie Eccleston as well. It's played into the leg side and there's no run, but she is a terrific spinner in her own right, and well, she's got a big part to play here, I would have to say.
She gets it down there as well, doesn't she? Very sort of whippy arm, very fast arm.
Yeah, and I think she's, if not, she herself has spoken about it, but others have said it about her, that's come from bowling a lot with Sophie Eccleston.
Ah, okay.
In terms of practicing. It's the speed of the action, speed of delivery.
If you have the #1 bowler in the world in your squad and in your dressing room, then probably quite right to spend a bit of time with her.
Quite. I mean, there's not can't be too many better to learn from it. And hearing talk of the atmosphere in the Thunder camp, it's the sort of team that I would like to play for.
I bet it's fun. I bet it's non-stop fun and giggles. Obviously serious cricket, but I bet they do.
But they obviously take it seriously, but at the same time, I think that's something that sometimes isn't necessarily so there in the men's game, is that actually there are times in cricket when you can have a bit of a joke and a laugh.
That's lovely.
Dab down towards short third. She's not quite as much baton as I
I
thought initially.
that was going to race away.
But it's a single, so tidy start from Hannah Jones. 5 runs off her first over, 2 overs gone, 8 without loss. It's not an explosive start, but they've got through 2 overs without losing the wicket. But I think in terms of, certainly, in terms of how Sophie Eccleston's relationship is with Alex Hartley, for example, Alex Hartley will say on air, in jest, I'm sure, about how she stole my England job, etc. But they both clearly get along incredibly well.
To bowl at the Cathedral Road end, Emma Lamb.
Just a little bit younger, just 22 years old, Hannah Jones. So there's a left-arm spinners union there, in addition to clearly a dressing room which enjoys each other's company, enjoys playing well together. Emma Lamb into the attack, and her first delivery turned out into the leg side, and Laura Marshall, the sweeper out on the leg side boundary, prevents a second run. Emma Lamb, in addition to all her exploits with the bat, which we touched on a few in the first innings, this season her figures in the Charlotte Edwards Cup: 9 overs, 8 for 40. It's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it would be enough what she does with the bat, more than enough. Use of the feet, chipped over the infield by Fee Morris. She'll come back for 2. I'm not sure actually where she was looking to hit that, whether she was looking just to chip it over there, or whether she was looking a bit straighter and it just was an adjustment with the hands to send it over part of the ground, but she's picked up 2 for it. And now the reverse sweep, and that's caught at backward point. It's a shot that Fee Morris likes, but not able to get it behind square, and a comfortable catch taken at backward point, and the Thunder have got exactly what they were looking for as they get the early wicket there, and Laura Jackson, I believe it was, who took the catch 11 for 1 Western Storm as Fee Morris departs for 4.
Yes, clearly premeditated shot, as you say, shot she loves, but just seemed to get
Fee
very
Morris
wide
was
out, just
caught by Laura Jackson
but it's
off the
clearly
bowling
not
of Emma
the area
Lamb
she was
for
looking to
4.
place it, or at the height she was looking to place it, I would fancy. Shame.
Well, from the Storm point of view, it certainly is, because Fee Morris is somebody who can...
The incoming batter for the Western Storm is Danny Gibson.
Time, and she's obviously... I mean, you have to imagine she was feeling pretty confident out there at the moment, because she's pretty much the only batter in the final for Southern Brave against the Invincibles who really covered herself in any kind of glory. She came in when a lot of wickets had fallen, hopeless situation, and at least hit a few defiant boundaries against Invincibles at that stage, but she has to go, and Danny Gibson out at number 3. And that is Danny Gibson's favourite shot.
Straight out of the 100, straight into the Charlotte Edwards Cup.
How many of those did we see in the 100?
Brilliant.
And we've
Love
certainly seen a fair few in Western Storm colours already, but that's absolutely not where to bowl to Danny Gibson, into her pads. She loves to help it away backward, a square on the leg side.
Yeah, just perfect timing, just so easy.
Seven runs off the over but the wicket, but having Danny Gibson at number 3 is not a defensive move.
Yeah, she was batting like 6, 7 for the Spirit, wasn't she?
Yep. That's cut and just not able to find the gap through the covers. Gibson this time. 3 overs gone, 15 for 1 the score. But yeah, Gibson, I think in terms of Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy, she hadn't been coming in higher than, again, around about probably 6 or 7, I think, just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But she's been elevated up the order in this Charlotte Edwards Cup, and clearly with the role of keep the scoreboard moving, and it is what excites me about this Western Storm lineup, and it has a chance really to stay together for a long period of time as well, because they're all so young. So he just works that one up to mid-on, pick up a single, but it's the fact that they are all batters who they like to get on with it, and admittedly sometimes it might lead to a few lower totals than they might like, but at the same time there's the potential with this batting lineup to go really big, and I think that's an exciting thing. Full toss, hit over the leg side, and the mid-wicket fielder has given up the chase. More power from Danny Gibson.
I think we can confidently say we're going for the bonus point here.
It certainly looks
Well,
that
Danny
way from
Gibson
the
is
start.
anyway.
I think she had to make sure. We've already seen one full toss slapped straight to the fielder. Well, I say straight to the fielder, it wasn't straight to the fielder. Katie George made it look like it was straight to her.
Yeah, it was actually 15 yards to her left.
Exactly. But we've already seen that happen once, and the danger is the eyes light up a bit too much and you forget exactly where you're hitting the ball. Yes, it's straight to her. Absolutely not, but there we go. This time she goes backward of square, and that'll be 4 more, nothing stopping that.
So how many do we need to get them in for the bonus point?
Oh,
Sorry to ask technical questions, sorry.
1.25 times the run rate needs to be. So
1.25. So what am I multiplying by 1.25? So
well, you'll need to find out the rate.
well, the original rate you said was 5.0 point something.
5.05.
Oh, no.
Shout below before given out.
Right, let's
And
stop
that's
talking
the
about
end of
bonus
Danny
points.
Gibson, who looks disappointed, but she's got to go, as she's been given her marching orders by Anna Harris, and Hannah Jones has got sweet revenge for a couple of boundaries earlier on in this over to be sliding in towards the stumps. I don't think Danny Gibson's hit it, judging by her body language.
Danny
She was
Gibson
landing back at
was
stumps. I think she was
LBW
hoping
to
she got
Hannah
her pad
Jones.
maybe outside the
That's
line
like
of
the
off
line is
stump.
what I'm wondering. Is that what
But
she was looking at?
I have to say, I thought it looked quite good from that replay.
The incoming batter for the Western Storm, the captain, Sophie Luff.
Sophie Luff comes to the middle. She's got bit of a job on her hands just to steady the ship a little bit after a couple of early losses. Run rate's fine, just a tick over a run a ball with those couple of boundaries from Danny Gibson, but now there's space for a Sophie Luff kind of role. Just pick up the singles, marshal the chase.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was just thinking as she walked out. If there was one person in the Western Storm lineup that I'd want to walk out at 24 for 2, where we still need to get a run a ball, strike it around but hit the bad balls, calm leadership, Sophie Luff. And I really hope I've not just cursed her, because I think I've probably got a mini assist for the Danny Gibson one when I started talking about bonus points, so
Yeah, well,
I'm going to stop that chat.
It's remarkable the number we've had today. I mean, it doesn't happen as often as that every time. I promise you it doesn't, but it just feels like that from what we've had today. So Sophie Luff off the mark with a single to end over number 4. The score 25 for 2 for Western Storm. I'll just give you a quick update on what's happening in the other match in this group, because there's been an extraordinary fight back from the Northern Diamonds. When I last looked at that score, Diamonds were something like 31 for 4 after 9 overs, and they've made it up to 120 for 6.
Returning to bowl, Kate Cross.
Beth Langston 46 not out off 38 balls, and also Lindsay Smith 30 from 25. So those are the two batters who've done the damage there. Kate Cross to start her second over. Sophie Luff just wait into the ball, guiding the ball leg side for a single. So Sunrisers in reply. In addition to that, Sunrisers 10 for 2. Who do you reckon's got the 2 wickets? Beth Langston.
I was going to say it has to be Beth. I was just trying to work out who the other bowlers would be for Northern Diamonds.
Beth Langston's 46 not out of 38, and she's taken
got a
2
tail
wickets in
up.
her first
Yeah.
over.
The most least likely looking fast bowler ever, Beth Langston. She's so nice, and I don't know if she still wears glasses to bowl, but
I don't think she was, but
such a nice girl.
yeah,
And
and
fires a ball at you at 60, 70 mile an hour.
yeah, and having missed some time through injury as well, so it's great to see her make her comeback. Wait, the call this time. The last thing the Western Storm need here is a run out at this stage. So just a reminder of the table situation then. 9 points for Thunder, 8 for Diamonds, 5 for Storm. So with Sunrisers sitting on 4 behind them, Western Storm and Northwest Thunder would have liked to have seen Sunrisers probably win that game, even if it did bring all 4 teams back into it. Lindsay dabbing that one away back at a square on the offside and pick up a run. And meanwhile, in the other group, the South East Stars up to 175 for 6 from their 20 overs. Lightning 2 for 1 after 1.5 in reply. And Southern Vipers also put up a pretty decent score, 162 for 4 from their 20 overs against Central Sparks. Central Sparks 19 without loss after 11 balls in reply. Oh, that's a beauty from Kate Cross. That is a perler, and it's almost a case where it's done a bit too much. Just nipped away at the last moment on Georgia Hennessy. Just perfect seam movement from Kate Cross, exactly what she does so well. But she actually moved it almost too much to get the outside edge. Just quite deep on the edge of the circle there at mid-wicket, so they're able to come through for a actually not that sharp single in the end, even though it was just dabbed into the leg side. 27 for 2 after 5 overs. You can see the comparison there. 34 for 1.
Where's that? On the screen?
Well, it was there, but then you looked round and then it said Hannah Jones 1 for 15 off 2 overs. I promise you it was there.
I believe you.
And it's back again. There you go.
Ah! Thank you very much. Nice people doing the graphics.
To bowl at the river end, Laura Jackson.
Laura Jackson into the attack, and we talked about some, I guess, more crafty seam up star stuff from Georgia Hennessy. Laura Jackson's going to try and do something similar here, just vary things, bowl stump to stump, not allow the batters room to swing through. Certainly what she did there.
You've done this before, Ed.
Well, yeah, I do watch the odd game of cricket in my time, I have to say. Even if I'm not able to be there live, I do tend to try and watch a few games of cricket.
I think it's an art in itself to be able to tell people what's just happened, but to be able to predict what's about to happen, that's another level.
You're making me blush now. I don't think anyone said anything as nice as that in my life.
Oh.
There's a single taken out towards deep cover. But yeah, anyway, she didn't actually play that much in the 100, Laura Jackson. She played, I think, let's see, 3 games, yeah, but 4 wickets at 17. She was pretty decent when she did play, able to take wickets. She's only played in 1 Rachel Hayo Flint Trophy. She did 3 for 35 in that game against Central Sparks. So another tricky customer, and we've kind of done, I realise, not we, I have fallen into the usual trap, which I have to say a certain broadcasting company that broadcasts games on television often does, where you talk about the big names, but you don't necessarily mention some of the supporting cast, as that's down the leg side. That's going to be a wide, but Threlkeld's done really well to make sure that she's knocked it down, because that could easily have been 5 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
As it is, it's just the 2. But in terms of, you focus on the big names, your Kate Crosses, your Alex Hartleys, your Hannah Joneses, and I think you're kind of right to do that. But there's a real supporting cast of bowlers in this Thunder lineup who can cause some damage. Oh, she almost returned the favour there, did Jackson, from earlier on in the innings, and it was Hennessy who hit the shot as well. So Hennessy, she gave Jackson a chance to tip the ball onto the stumps.
Nearly took out an umpire and her partner in the process. It's all happening.
Luff would have been out.
By a mile. Anna Harris nearly copped it.
It's the second time she's almost had a ball in the face.
Shot.
It is a good shot. Throwing the hands at it, Georgia Hennessy. And for once, Jackson not bowling stump to stump. And it's just a bit, well, there's enough pace to use. It's almost the ideal pace for that kind of a shot. There's enough pace to use, but at the same time, you've got time to place the ball.
As soon as you knew that wasn't going to do you any damage at all, she's saying throw the wrist at it. It's a lovely shot. Still got to beat the fielder though.
Yep, certainly. I've been disappointed to have hit that one straight to the fielder. So the last ball of the first 6 overs of power play. It's right up in the block hole from Jackson. Georgia Hennessy. Oh yeah. You know what that is? The ring out of the left hand there. Oh, I hated that. Absolutely hated it. I was thinking she'd be checking the bottom of her bat, but I think she's a little bit too preoccupied with how her hands are feeling. Here's the highlights from the power play. That was the wicket of Fee Morris going on the reverse sweep, but just not able to get it fine enough, and caught by Jackson at backward point.
To bowl at the Cathedral Road end,
just not able to execute.
Alex Hartley.
Danny Gibson came to the crease and hit a couple of strong shots through the leg side. Got that full toss there from Hannah Jones, powered it away over mid-wicket, and then sent that one back at a square as well, but she didn't last too much longer. Was dismissed to the very next ball from that one, as Alex Hartley is into the attack, and Luff trying to use her feet, but plays it straight to shore mid-wicket. She does use her feet very nicely against the spinners, does Sophie Luff. Real strength of hers, but she's got to make sure she gets to the pitch of it. That's down the leg side.
What have you done?
Oh, out! Given eventually by umpire Sue Redfern. She took her time, but eventually that finger went up, and that is a key strike for Thunder down the leg side. And wow, replay possibly suggesting that that's come off the pad of Sophie Luff, and Alex Hartley gets the breakthrough. Thunder won't care. Sophie Luff has to go.
Sophie Luff was caught by Ellie Threlkeld off the bowling of Alex Hartley for 2.
The one thing to say there, again though, the glove work
Yeah.
from Threlkeld,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that...
The incoming
quite a
batter
big
for the
deflection
Western
as well.
Storm
And
is Katie George.
Threlkeld,
She's gone a long way very quickly.
yeah, and she's blind when she takes
Yeah.
that as well. She's basically got to estimate where the ball's going to come and make sure her gloves are in the right place. Incredible glove work from Threlkeld. She impressed a lot of people in the 100 with her glove work, and I'm sure not news at all to fans of the Thunder, but again, just allowing that, I guess, bigger platform for the wider cricketing public to take note of just how good she's been behind the stumps.
So, how many wicket-keepers are there in and around selection for England? Because
Oh, that's a beauty to start with. Another big shout from Hartley, and not out this time, says umpire Sue Redfern. They're going to come through 4. Now let's see what the signal is here. It's
she's
signalled
hit it.
runs,
Right.
so that might tell
that
you
would
something.
explain why she's not given her out LBW.
Katie George off the mark to her first ball. Well, interesting. Very interesting.
They even up over time, I'm told, you know, some decisions.
Oh, again, not much, if any, bat on that one from Hennessy. She looked to work into the leg side. But, yeah, I'm not entirely sure that that always happens in the space of 2 balls.
True. Karma comes quick in Wales.
Clipped nicely by Hennessy. Might think about 2, but it's not going to be on. Out to deep square leg is Alice Dyson. So the end of that over from Alex Hartley, just 3 runs off it, and she's picked up a wicket. I think, in fact, no, not the end of the over. Not the end of the over. 1 ball remaining.
It's a 6-ball over game.
Yes,
Would we are playing 6 today,
that's
not
obviously
5.
why
Yeah.
I was getting confused. Clearly, pick up another single off the last ball. The over is
Could be
Katie.
critical, that ball. Could be very critical.
Well, it's another run for Katie George. 37 for 3 after 7. That comparison becomes more interesting even.
Going to be behind, yeah. I thought we'd be behind.
47 for 3 was the score at
Returning
this
to
stage.
bowl at the river end, Emma Lamb.
So Emma Lamb, change of ends for her on at the river end this time. And they said this game wasn't over at the halfway stage. It's far from
It's
over.
very much on now, yeah.
Even though the required run rate is actually still pretty much 5 and over. Less than 5 and over, in fact. But the pressure that's been built up through these early wickets and the effectiveness of this Thunder attack make this a very exciting game. That's a single out to deep mid-wicket to start the over. Katie George has scored off each of her first 3 balls.
What I was going to say was I have just felt my heart rate starting to rise. You know, when you can feel it in your neck and there's still 12.5 overs to go, so goodness
Heart's
knows.
already made it up as far as the neck.
You know when you get that sort of feeling in your neck when you can feel your heart beating?
It's helped away back at a square, and a very wise decision from George to say no to that one, because we've already seen 1 run out in very similar fashion to that earlier on today, and was affected by Claire Nicholas. That was what got things started for the Western Storm. Hennessy just guiding a single out towards deep square leg, and I think particularly now, any thoughts of a bonus point are really at the back of the minds now. I think it's back to playing sensible cricket, knocking the ball around. There's more than one way to score at 5 and over.
Agreed.
Cut, but straight to backward point from the opposite perspective, from the Thunder. They've just got to keep the field in tight, dot balls, the odd singles fine, but keep that pressure on the Western Storm. Helped down to long on by Katie George. And in some ways, I guess what they'll have been saying, and they can say it even more so now, the pressure's on Western Storm here really to chase this total, because they have to chase it.
and it's seeming relatively low
Yeah.
as totals go.
And
20 over cricket.
adding in to that the fact that the Thunder know as long as they don't concede the bonus point, they should
Still
stay
golden,
ahead
yeah.
of the Western Storm in the table, albeit Northern Diamonds have made this extraordinary recovery in their match against Sunrisers. Sunrisers now 33 for 2 after 6 overs, but it's just the top sides from each group and the best second place side that go through to finals day, which is on the 5th of September. It's Hartley continuing with the dot ball to start this 9th over, and for really about the first time in this innings, the required run rate is higher than the current run rate.
I've just hurriedly consulted my ECB app for the table and just realised that
Shout for leg before, probably heading leg side-ish, unless Alex Hartley's got that ball to straighten a fair bit. She's got a big stride forward there as Katie George. Not the world's worst shout, has to be said, but possibly just angling leg side. Sweep just tickled fine, but they've got that fine leg fielder right there for the shot. Hannah Jones, the fielder there, and she's really cutting off that fine sweep option. You're going to have to get at the other side of her probably if you want runs.
lovely
Wide
shot.
and cracked away through extra cover by Katie George. So Alex Hartley trying one on the offside this time, and that was timed beautifully by Katie George through the covers for 4. Kind of an odd season in some ways, Alex Hartley, because the wickets weren't necessarily coming for her at the start of the season, but then the 100 started, and then a few games into the 100 she was suddenly starting to pick up wickets for fun.
Yeah.
And you were wondering, well, I was wondering coming into this game, are we going to get the Alex Hartley that was bowling very economically but not taking the wickets, or are we going to get the wicket taker Alex Hartley that we got in the 100? And early indications are that that's the version that we're getting here, and possibly could have had another one by now in addition to the one that she's taken. Oh, she's almost played that one on. Katie George, somehow that's missed off stump, and these two, who were both actually on analyst duty for the away series against New Zealand on BT Sport. Both Alex Hartley and Katie George both doing some punditry there. So now they will take on the fielder at short fine leg, and that's a good run from Georgia Hennessy, who's just played very softly down there, which allowed them to come through for that single. So 5 off the over, 45 for 3, the Western Storm after 9 overs. Actually, I just realised earlier on, I sort of teed up the whole prediction business from the international series last year. Will it remind me what your prediction was for the England-West Indies series?
Returning to bowl,
I
Hannah
went
Jones.
very Glenn McGrath, and I was like, well, it's be a whitewash. And I sort of just said it without thinking. And then it was. But you're now going to ask me a serious question about the New Zealand series, aren't you?
Well, I might have left it to the end, because I felt like we ended on that note last time. We should end on that note again this time, as Katie George works Hannah Jones leg side but can't pick up a run. But I think, was it not Heather Knight who pointed out the Glenn McGrath comparison?
Yeah, called out by the England skipper.
Yeah,
Live
well,
on
she
Twitter. Brilliant.
she backed you up, it has to be said.
Yes, true.
No run once again. Hannah Jones into her 3rd over now. Hit for a couple of boundaries by Danny Gibson, but had the perfect reply by having Gibson dismissed. She stuffed this over off very nicely. That's short though, pulled out towards the fielder in the deep. He's well short of her, so no chance for a catch, but George frustrated that she's not managed to pick up a boundary for that one. It was just the away series against New Zealand that reminded me of that, having having talked about that. Low full toss, just get a single down to long on.
I shall do some calculations then if you're going to ask me towards the end of the game. I'll have a really good think about this one. I'll study the form. Seriously though, I think it could be a very good series.
Oh, it
Susie
should be,
Bates
yeah.
was back and
Exactly.
smashing balls around recently, wasn't she? So yeah, I think it could be quite an interesting series.
Yeah, and the other player that they... Oh, there's a second run here taken, and taken well. It wasn't much of a fumble down at long on. Look at the replay, and she's Danielle Collins is the fielder. She's almost kicked that one, actually. But really good awareness from Hennessy and George to come back for that second run. Last ball of the first half of Western Storm's innings. Theoretically, the first half of Western Storm's innings is a dot ball. 49 for 3 after 10 overs. There's the card. Georgia Hennessy 17 of 26, but she's kind of had to play that way because of the wickets that have fallen in the middle there. One each for Lamb, Jones and Hartley, so it's spin once again doing the damage today. There's plenty of batting left for Western Storm, however, the job still needs to be done, and from a Thunder point
to bowl at the Cathedral Road end, Natalie
Western Storm
Brown.
haven't got half the runs yet.
Nearly, though, nearly. It'll be fine, Ed. It'll be fine.
The other player I was going to mention along the New Zealand line of things is Leah Tahuhu, because she got injured, I think, a couple of games into that series in New Zealand. So it's going to be a wide to start things off as the very experienced Natalie Brown into the attack. But starting off with one which says there's a bit of shape there. I guess there's the bright side to that, but she just started it a little bit too wide, so it swung even wider. So the 50 comes up with the wide to start the second half of the innings. Just a little bit too straight, allowing Hennessy the easy work out to deep backward square leg. But yeah, it should be a cracking series. That 3 T20s, 5 ODIs, I believe, and all starts a week today, 1st of September.
Buy tickets, ecb.co.uk/tickets.
You'd never guess you were involved in promoting things.
We've got a few down here, haven't we? We've got, I know Somerset have at least one of the games, possibly 2. Bristol have got one, haven't they?
They have, yeah, they have. So I'll give you the venues in a moment. There's a huge shout for, I think, was that Threlkeld for a stumping? But the back foot hadn't moved at all. In fact, no, she was appealing for the catch, actually, rather than the stumping. She was appealing to umpire Redfern rather than umpire Harris, but whether she was just trying to make doubly sure it wasn't called a wide. She was the only one appealing, that's for sure.
That'll do.
Bit of width, it's a, well,
They
it's
all
a
count.
bottom edge, I think you'd
They
have
all
to say,
count.
from Katie George, but it's going to be 4, and a very important boundary, that, for the Western Storm. Just takes the pressure off the rest of the over. Yeah, in fact, it was an outside edge, really. Down to the fine, deep third rope. Katie George up to 16 from 19. She's kept things ticking along quite nicely, Katie George. She's kind of picked up the mantle from Sophie Luff in terms of playing that kind of busy innings that's needed. As the Western Storm go, and there's another outside edge down to deep third. In fact, it's not an outside edge. I thought maybe she got a little nick on it and it had gone onto the gloves, but in fact it's straight off the gloves of Threlkeld, and it's a bye. Western Storm a little chance to leave this over. No run there to end it, straight to backward point it goes. So 56 for 3. 6 off the over, that's all the Western Storm need, but 45 off 54. Look at the partnership graphic here, and it's the biggest partnership of the innings, this, albeit Georgia Hennessy's contribution 4 off 8 versus Katie George 16 off 20, but Katie George is doing her job at the moment, and it's just developing into a handy partnership, this. Yeah, those venues.
To bowl at the river end,
1st of September,
Alex Hartley.
kicks off at Chelmsford, then 4th and 9th are the other 2 T20s at Hove and Taunton. And then the 5 ODIs, Bristol, Worcester, Leicester, Derby, Canterbury.
I like that. Fortress Chelmsford to start. I like that move. Whoever puts that fixture, that schedule together. Very strong, very strong. Never lose at Chelmsford.
Alex Hartley back into the attack. It's always a difficulty with fortresses, though. At some point,
Yeah, the record.
at some point, they stop becoming fortresses.
And with my record,
yes, has pulled away back on a square. Good shot from Katie George. Just waited that fraction of a second longer to help it behind square and picks up 4 runs. That short from Alex Hartley. I think
slightly offline. But
yeah, that was more the thing, wasn't it? Just a bit leg side-ish, just allowing Katie George to swivel on it. So she's got 20 from 22. Good ball, good comeback from Alex Hartley, getting that one very much more towards middle and off. And silly question, but I have to ask it. Would you like to see some more women's international cricket played at perhaps some different venues?
Well, like in Wales, you mean?
Well, yes, quite. Some of the test grounds.
So all joking apart, now we've seen, you know, the advent of the 100 and hopefully captured some more imaginations and some more people who'd want to watch women's cricket. I don't know that we're quite at, you know, Oval and Lords for a women's international. Again, it's going to depend on the opposition, isn't it?
That is a glorious shot
It is.
from Katie George, who's just laced it through the gap in the covers, right back onto her stumps, and guided it straight between cover and extra cover, and the timing, just gorgeous. It ran away across the carpet for 4.
But in answer to your question, yes, absolutely, and I do think it's, you know, time to get out to, all joking apart, venues like Cardiff. I think there's only ever been 2 women's internationals here. I did have a word with Claire Connor on Saturday about that.
Getting some great insider info now. You heard it here first.
And honestly, I do think that Glamorgan would be supportive of that as well. You know, I think, say, only having had 2 female internationals ever here, I think it's the right size ground. I think we get good support here. So yeah, absolutely, we'd love to see them here in the next year or 2.
Obviously very proud at Bristol to have had the international cricket from the Bristol point of view that I have to give in Galway. We're very proud, of course, to have had the test match there.
Returning to bowl, Emma Lamb.
It was more than a bit of a shame about the pitch, but
actually there was nothing wrong with the pitch.
End,
it was just
exactly
the PR around the pitch.
Exactly, because everybody who knows Bristol knows that, you know, there was all this talk about the surface could break up, it could start, you know, the surface could disintegrate after a number of days. Bristol doesn't do that. Not nowadays, anyway. Emma Lamb back into the attack, and that's worked down to long on for a single. But yes, it was a shame, and the general, you know, the blame was, I think, allocated in more than one place. We'll leave it at that, but it was a shame.
It won't happen again, though. I'm absolutely certain of that.
However, it was a fantastic game of cricket.
Apart
I think
from
one of the highlights of my summer.
Apart from the ridiculous last half an hour, where we were just like, why are we still playing? I don't know if that was just a bit of a passive-aggressive move on Ms. Raj's part, but yeah, fantastic game of cricket.
Try for a second, but Hennessy having to get a skates on back into her ground, happy with just the one in the end. Yeah, it was a very odd finish, that, and I think Daniel Norcross, as ever, on commentary, was absolutely superb.
Hilarious.
And if you ever need somebody to talk you through a silly patch of cricket, striking exactly the right tone, then Daniel Norcross is your man. And then Izzy Westbury, who was quite happy for, she was quite happy for Natalie Raj to do a bit of trolling on the England players there, keeping them out there. She was the complete opposite viewpoint. Short ball, not timed perfectly by Katie George, but she's done well not to hit it straight to a fielder. So Last ball of this over, 4 singles off it. It's kind of the tipping point a little bit of the over this. And I think I heard 2 noises there. It popped up in the air, but out into the leg side harmlessly. I'm not sure if there was inside edge on the pad there. It doesn't matter.
Definite thud, but you're right, there might have been a bit of wood before.
In any case, it's a dot ball, but 33 off 42. These two have taken it to a point where you'd feel like, well, it's hard to say it's in the bag, because it certainly isn't for the Western Storm, but Thunder desperately need to break this partnership now, and it's got to desperation levels. If you are the Thunder, they've got to get one of these two out really within the next even over or two.
Returning to bowl, Kate Cross.
And that's probably why they've just made that bowling change, I would suspect.
Quite, absolutely. There is no point in having, I guess, to a certain extent, your trump card up your sleeve when the game's over.
Right.
He says, trying to navigate horribly through a cards analogy, having barely played any cards in his life. Kate Cross back into the attack from the river end. Starting off with a dot ball. There's really, he said it at the start, they don't have to go after Kate Cross, and they don't have to go after Kate Cross this over. If this over just produced even 2 runs,
or 3, exactly,
then they're still in the position of strength here, Western Storm. But even if you're not taking risks against Kate Cross, she can produce that bit of magic that's needed for the Thunder. And just a quick drop and run from Katie George. It's been a really intelligent innings this from her, using the experience that she's got from playing internationally as well as all over the place in terms of domestic cricket. She's just come in and played that anchor role, but 27 off 31 in the context of this game, decent strike rate as well.
Exactly what we need.
Hennessy drives out towards deep cover. We haven't seen, being critical in this statement, but we haven't seen quite as many of the classic Georgia Hennessy thumping drives through the covers this year as we did last year, and it was going to be hard for her to have a year exactly like she did last year, with 1 century, 1 near century. It was terrific from Georgia Hennessy, sorry, in the Rachel Hare Flynn Trophy. Katie George tries to find the gap between mid-wicket and mid-on, but can't do so, and Danielle Collins on the infield this time, able to prevent runs.
I'm just trying to recall how Georgia went in the 100.
In the 100, well, she had one particularly good outing in which she actually dismissed Georgie Boyce. So if you've given me a chance to bring that up now, because that's a short ball. She tried the bouncer there, Kate Cross, and obviously Threlkeld knew it was coming and took it. Here's the replay, and Katie George rather losing her shape on that shot there. I don't know that she expected that to come, and then it kind of ballooned a bit on her as well. But yeah, you've given me a great excuse to bring that up, because I thought I was not going to bring it up because we didn't have Hennessy bowling to Boyce. Oh, there's a chance of a stumping here, but no, Katie George has got her foot back. I thought she was on a bit of a tip forward there for a moment, Katie George, and Threlkeld's whipped the bails off.
Pop the anchors down there.
Indeed. So the end of another very cheap over from Kate Cross, but it hasn't produced the wicket that Thunder were after. 31 off 36, the required run rate has ticked up a bit, as you might expect, because that's what happens when you don't get the required runs off the over. The required run rate goes up.
Even I can do that maths.
Yes, no, we're not. I'm not going to point anything like that.
Returning to bowl, Alex Hartley.
31 off the final 6. It should still be under control for the Western Storm, but there's still another over of Kate Cross to go, and this over of Alex Hartley. So a couple of really cheap overs, and that required rate really could start to get towards that run-a-ball mark. Sent back. Georgia Hennessy wanted one, but Katie George didn't. And again, we're back at this stage almost like we were at the start, really, where there's two ways to go. You could decide just to throw caution to the wind.
Like
Which is
that.
what Georgia Hennessy's done, and she's chipped it rather into the gap.
Oh, run, run, run.
Quite a long boundary out there, out towards wide long on, and applause around the ground for the efforts to come back for that second run. It was nicely chipped into the gap. She knew where she was hitting it over that short mid-wicket fielder.
Very deliberate.
And that's down the leg side. The ball ricocheting off the pads of Threlkeld onto the stumps, but it's a bonus run for Western Storm. It's been pretty immaculate with her line for the most part. There's Alex Hartley, a very rare stray there. Chipped in the air just short. Fielder at short mid-wicket. Danielle Collins might have thought she was in play for a moment there.
My heart rate started going in my neck
Just about to
again.
say, it just feels like the tension level was just being raised a little out there, and understandable really given the match situation. Chipped in the air and just out of the reach of Alex Hartley.
Katie
got
George
fingertips
is running
to
without
it.
her bat.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Everything's going off. The throw was fired in by Kate Cross from the long on rope, and Threlkeld had to go sprawling away to her left to make sure there weren't overthrows. Everything happening there. Alex Hartley was...
No, that was a catch.
Yeah, it was not
And
a
she
bump ball for
tackled
sure.
Katie George. That's gone.
She almost got whacked over the head with the bat there, Alex Hartley. Look at the look on her face. Would have been some catch.
It would.
It's clipped just wide of short fine leg, and they're able to come through for that single. So this over, couple of runs chipped over mid-wicket, the wide, couple of singles. Last ball of this over now. Just be one worked wide of the short fine leg fielder. Very sensible stuff from these two. They're taking it deep, as they like to say.
That completes Alex Hartley's bowling quota. Her
Sure,
final figures: 4
Still in
overs, no
control for the
maidens,
latter overs.
1
That's it
for
Alex Hartley.
22.
4 overs, 1 for 22. Another very solid spell of bowling from her. But she is done now, and the big question, I guess, for her is, when does she use that last over of Kate Cross?
Returning to bowl at the river end, Hannah Jones.
For now, she's going to use the last of Hannah Jones' over. She's got plenty of options as far as the bowling's concerned, Alex Hartley.
And I'm no captain, but I would have had Cross straight back on, because, as you say, the trump card, the ace up your sleeve, however many other card analogies we were going to use, I'd have had her trying to break this partnership.
Clip backward a square. I think about coming back for 2, but not there. Throw coming in more towards the middle of the pitch, but what Alice Dyson did extremely well there was get to the ball quickly and get the ball in.
Yeah.
Pulled down to long on. Is it going to hang up? No, it's not. It falls agonisingly from a Thunder point of view, short of the fielder at long on. I have to say, I thought that was straight down her throat there.
I was slightly more comfortable than you. This is all relative, though, of course. Yeah, run.
Has that come off the pad? It's going to be at least 1 run, and it has come off the pad, so leg by signalled. Just a little tickle round the corner. She would be a little disappointed there, Georgia Hennessy. She didn't get some bat on that, because it could have been going down towards the fine leg rope. They'll sprint through for another one here. Going to be a leg by again, I think. Yep.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
He's still
Just
at
keep
this
ticking them
stage,
over.
One boundary pretty much kills it. but
one boundary per over,
well,
or just one boundary in the game.
I'd say almost at the point where even one boundary, full stop. Oh, it's wrong-footed her. It's a horrible spin on Kate Cross, and even the experienced Cross got done in by the spin there.
Yeah.
Wrong-footed, reached back with her left hand trying to get it, but you were able to come through for a single. Flighted up to the bat. She really invited that big shot off that last ball there, Hannah Jones. Really impressive spell from her. She's through her 4 overs, 1 for 22, so identical figures.
That completes Hannah Jones's bowling quota as well. Her final figures are also 4 overs, no maidens, 1 for 22.
There's no heartbeats going in there next, is there?
Who's yawning up on the on the balcony?
Fair play. They're professionals.
Lauren
They're used to
Parfitt up
this.
there with a yawn.
I'd be striding. I'd be pacing up and down, especially if I had to go back.
Returning to bowl, Emma Lamb.
Possibly. Right, they all look very comfortable at the moment. 20 off 24 is the equation, and now it's Emma Lamb to bowl her final over.
She's
3
bowled-
overs, 1 for 14.
She's
her
bowled
figures.
lovely, hasn't she?
Yep.
So we don't need to go after Emma Lamb either. We can just have another over of sort of 2, 3,
Who
4.
are you going to go after, though?
It's a really good point. Oh, because Kate Cross has still got to come back, hasn't she?
Single out to deep mid-wicket to start this over from Emma Lamb. Yep, Kate Cross 3 overs for 7. Laura Jackson, I suspect, would come back into the attack. Maybe she almost has to come back next over if they want 2 overs out of her. Short pulled in the air, wide of the fielder at deep mid-wicket, who dives and just can't stop it entirely. There was a hand on it.
Was. I thought she'd stop that. She did very well to get there, to be fair.
Laura Marshall, the fielder out there, it's travelling very quickly, and the difficulty is she has to be in off the rope to stop them from coming back for an easy 2. So she's a few steps off the rope, and that robbed her kind of the couple of steps that she might have needed to be further back to make it a bit easier to stop. Cut just into the gap, wide of backward point. So 6 runs off 3 balls this over. And I said 1 boundary makes it look very comfortable.
I wasn't going to mention that. I was going to keep that to myself in case we cursed.
Well,
again.
I was going to say, I'm sure in some circles it still doesn't feel that comfortable, is what I was going to say. Flick straight to short fine leg, but they'll get a single. Anytime that short fine leg fielder on the edge of the circle just has to move a little
exactly.
bit.
And good backing up from the non-striker as well. They can get there pretty easy.
I wonder if there's almost a case that now they've got to bring that fielder in a bit. It's very short and wide and cut by Katie George through backward point for 4 runs, and we can hear the noise not just from the crowd but from the Western Storm balcony after that one, because I think they will feel that that is the boundary that should put this game to bed now.
Even I'm slightly more comfortable now. 9 to win, 13 balls, is that right? 19 balls. See, can't multiply by 6.
Drop and run, and that's just intelligent cricket from Katie George. Just guiding the ball into the gap on the offside. They weren't that close.
No.
I suppose with 9 off 19, it's a bit tricky to be too critical, really. There's just not enough runs to play with at that stage. So it'll just be 8 runs needed off the final 3 overs, and these two have put on 59 runs together now.
And that was the partnerships that Thunder didn't have, basically, isn't it? That's been the difference.
Returning to bowl
Yeah,
at
and
the
it's also,
River
I
End,
think, showed
Kate
you
Cross.
possibly that this didn't need to be a 130, 140 kind of score even. And Thunder were out playing quite a lot of big shots early on in their innings, which got them into trouble. There was the run out as well, but there were quite a few big shots out to long on, deep mid-wicket, etc. Kate Cross to start her final over. George driving the first ball really fluently, but straight to extra cover. But I think, that's, like you said, the one partnership. There weren't too many, with the exception of Threlkeld, who pretty much had to because she had to hold things together. They didn't give themselves a huge amount of time to get going, and I think they just thought they needed more runs than they actually turned out to have done. Right up in the block hole, inside edge onto
toe,
yeah,
or instep.
He always manages to find a hole, doesn't it? It doesn't always seems off that inside edge to find some bit which doesn't have padding on.
Oh,
Cut, blasted through the offside. 4 runs for Katie George, down to just 4 to win. One more of those will do it for the Western Storm. Just enough width, and at this stage Thunder have got to have pretty much everybody up, but even if they'd had that cover sweeper back, probably wouldn't have stopped that.
I don't think so. Shout out also to the graphics on the big screen, the 4 and, well, I was going to say 4s and 6s, I don't think we've had a 6, have we, but love the Western Storm 4 graphics on the replay screen there in Sophia Gardens.
Just 4 to win, pretty much everybody up now.
Oh, no.
Inside edge, and it's down to the boundary for 4. It's going to be runs to end things. Katie George finishes 47 not out from 46 balls. Rather fortunate way to end the game. It was a
Congratulations to the Western Storm on their victory by 7 wickets. Katie George unbeaten on 47 from 46 balls with 8 fours.
Convincing victory here for the Western Storm.
Well, it's now Fortress Cardiff, isn't it, for Western Storm? You'll have to come back again. Yeah, it was actually very comfortable in the end, those two with that partnership. Really just guided us home. There was a couple of hairy moments, of course, as you do get in 2020 cricket, but a good game. Good to see, say, those 100 players for the Welsh Fire and others back in green, and great to have had you here, and great result.
Well, Nicole Harvey, with her figures of 4 overs, 3 for 13. She was the chief destroyer in the first innings. Thunder making 100 for 9. Emma Lamb top scored with 28. What's new there with Emma Lamb top scoring? Ellie Threlkeld made 22, but they were the only 2 batters who got into double digits for the Thunder. And as I say, Nicole Harvey 3 for 13 from her 4 overs. Wickets each for
congratulations to both teams.
And Lauren Filer. And in reply,
many thanks.
Fee Morris, Danny Gibson, Sophie Luff all fell relatively early, but they did keep the run rate high, particularly Gibson with her 12 coming in just 6 balls. But since then, it was the partnership between George and Hennessy that really saw Western Storm home relatively comfortably in the end. Katie George 47 off 46 with 8 boundaries, and Georgia Hennessy finishing 29 not out. And a vital win for the Western Storm given how things stand in the group. It looks as though the Northern Diamonds will win, so they would move up to potentially 12 or even 13 points possibly, but the Western Storm are up to 9, and they are giving themselves a shout in their last 2 matches. So the next action for the Western Storm will be the away match against the Northern Diamonds, which is taking place up at the Riverside. That figures to be a critical match. That's taking place on Saturday, 2:30 start again for that one. And I'm sure colleagues at the Northern Diamonds will have us covered for that one. But this really important win for the Western Storm, and they'll be hoping to keep the ball rolling on the 28th of August. It's been fantastic to have your company today, Leisha, and we can reveal now that it wasn't actually the plan all along to have you with us all of the game. But thank you so much for sticking around with us. Hopefully you've enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I just apologise to our viewers and listeners for not having an actual qualified journalist in this seat, but
don't worry, there's not one in this seat either.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you again for having me. Yeah, really enjoyed watching from the media centre in Sophia Gardens.
And is there any events that we should look out for coming up on in the Welsh cricket calendar? Is there anything in terms of the rest of the season you want to give a shout out for?
We have the Welsh Cup, the Senior Welsh Cup final. This is men's on the 5th of September at Pontarddulais Cricket Club. We will be introducing a women's Welsh Cup next year, which rumour has it might be an 100-ball competition, but that's probably our next big event in Welsh cricket. Week on Sunday, 5th of September. It's Newport versus Swansea.
And I feel it's only right to end on your prediction for the New Zealand series.
Yes.
I was going to just leave it at the T20s, but you can do the ODIs as well if you want.
Okay, so T20 series, I'm going to go 2-0 England with a washout.
Oh,
Very specific.
Where's the washout?
I don't-
Hove. It always rains at Hove.
Doesn't drain there either. Had terrible trouble down there. And ODIs, I'm going to go 3-1 England.
Right, you heard it here first. So, until the next Western Storm game on the 28th of August, that will be when you'll see the Western Storm next in action. The next Western Storm home game is on the 12th of September. We'll be back at Bristol for that one in the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint Trophy. But there's two very important, potentially, away games left in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. 28th of August and the 30th of August against Northern Diamonds and Sunrisers. So hopefully you can join our colleagues over at the Northern Diamonds for that. But from myself, Ed Seaborn, and Leisha Hawkins, I hope you have a very pleasant rest of your afternoon.